guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Shelby of Shelby and the Book Club, and in today's video I'm going to give you guys some book recommendations for Black History Month. So if you would like to hear it, here it go. So every year for Black History Month I try to read all Black authors because it's a way that I can introduce you guys to some new authors that you may have never heard of that are Black or in the Black diaspora. But then I got the idea of like, oh, I can do that outside of that. Like I can help you guys put together your TBR for the month of February. So here are some books in no particular order that I think you guys should read for Black History Month. So first on the list, we have Blacktop Wasteland by S.A. Cosby. I've heard nothing but good things about this book, and it is a thriller, I believe. Let's see. I believe it's a thriller. Because it's, never mind, I ain't finna sing that. I ain't got the money for it. It's a suspense fiction, so same thing, thriller. So it says, once known as the best getaway driver east of the Mississippi, Bogard Bug Montag has never stopped looking over his shoulder. He knows that no matter how long he has been out of the life, no one ever gets completely out. Now Bug is an honest mechanic, a loving husband, and a hardworking dad, but when his carefully built new life begins to crumble, a former associate comes calling with a can't-miss jewelry store heist. Bug feels he has no choice but to get back into the driver's seat. Haunted by a ghost of who he used to be and the father who disappeared when he needed him the most, Bug must find a way to navigate his blacktop wasteland or die trying. I've heard amazing things about this book. Black author. I love a good thriller. I love a good suspense. I feel like he may be our modern day, like the new age Walter Mosley, but with a twist, you know? So check this out. Next I have, oh, my cover is a little dirty, but The Book of Harlem by Bernice McFadden. I started reading this book recently and didn't get a chance to finish it. Excuse me, but it is on my list to finish because it just sounds so good. So The Book of Harlem opens with the courtship of Harlan's parents and his 1917 birth in Macon, Georgia. After his prominent minister grandfather dies, Harlan and his parents move to Harlem, where he eventually becomes a professional musician. When Harlan and his best friend trumpeter Lizard Robbins are invited to perform at a popular cabaret in the Parisian enclave of Montmartre, affectionately known as the Harlem of Paris by Black American musicians, Harlan jumps at the opportunity, convincing Lizard to join him. But after the City of Lights falls under Nazi occupation, Harlan and Lizard are thrown into Buchenwald, the notorious concentration camp in Weimar, Germany, changing the course of Harlan's life. Based on extensive research and exhaustive research and Totem McFadden's mesmeric prose, The Book of Harlem skillfully blends the stories of McFadden's familiar ancestors with those of real and imagined characters. The reason that this sounds so interesting to me is because we don't often hear about the Black people that were in concentration camps during World War II, or the things that happened to Black people in World War II. We only really know the history of Jewish people, which is fine. We should know that, but there's more to it. Black people have a lot of different stories. Our history is vast. So that's why that book always stood out to me as something that I want to read. Call Baby by Morgan Jerkins. I think for a long time I've been pronouncing her name Jenkins, and it's Jerkins. Oh my gosh, this book was so good. I've always been super interested in knowing more about the history of like Black people and like hoodoo and magic and all of that kind of thing. because it is a large part of who we are as people. It's a, you know, we say a lot of the times as Black people, like, oh, my parents so superstitious, or, you know, don't sweep your feet and don't do this and don't do that. But a lot of that is rooted in hoodoo. So this book being about a call and a family, and just, so it says Layla desperately wants to become a mother, but each of her previous pregnancies ends in heartbreak. To protect the child she's now carrying, she turns to the Melancons, an old and powerful Harlem family known for their call, a precious layer of skin that is rumored to hold miraculous healing properties. But a deal to acquire the call falls apart, and Layla's child is stillborn. Overcome with grief and rage, Layla does not know that her niece, Amara, an ambitious college student, is secretly expecting a baby. When the baby arrives, Amara names her Hollow and arranges for her to be privately adoptive. Amara is unaware that the adoptive family are the Melancons, who are eager to raise this extraordinary child as their own. Seeing Hollow's unusual call, the Melancon matriarch predicts the girl will save the family and restore the riches they once enjoyed. Growing up, Hollow feels that something in her life is not right. Did Josephine, the woman she calls mother, really bring her into the world? Why is her cousin Helena allowed to roam the streets of New York freely while she must remain at home? Is she fated to live, work, and die in the Melancon's crumbling brownstone? As the family's thirst to maintain their status grows, fate reunites Hollow and Amara, whose career has reached astonishing heights. Now daughter and mother must decide where their true allegiances lie. Engrossing, unique, page-turning, Call Baby illuminates the search for familiar connections, the enduring power of tradition, and the darkest corners of the human heart. This book is phenomenal. If you like magical realism, if you know, like stories about family ties told from different perspectives, you will absolutely love this book. Next, we have The Sweetness of Water by Nathan Harris. This one is kind of a tough read. I actually want it to be a book club pick eventually. I just have to decide when. But this is one of those books that kind of put me in the mind of The Prophets, which is something that I absolutely loved when I read it. But it says, in the waning days of the Civil War, brothers Prentice and Laundrie, freed by the Emancipation Proclamation, seek refuge on the homestead of George Walker and his wife Isabel. The Walkers, wrecked by the loss of their only son to the war, hire the brothers to work their farm, hoping through an unexpected friendship to stanch their grief. Prentice and Laundrie meanwhile plan to save money for the journey north and a chance to reunite with their mother, who was sold away when they were boys. Parallel to their story runs a forbidden romance between two Confederate soldiers. The young men, recently returned from the war to the town of Old Ox, hold their tryst in the woods. But when their secret is discovered, the resulting chaos, including a murder, unleashes convulsive repercussions on the entire community. In the aftermath of so much turmoil, it is Isabel who emerges as an unlikely leader, a healing vision for the land and for the newly freed citizens of Old Ox. With candor and sympathy, debut novelist Nathan Harris creates an unforgettable cast of characters depicting Georgia in the violent crucible of Reconstruction. Equal parts beauty and terror, as gripping as it is moving. The Sweetness of Water is an epic whose grandeur locates humanity and love amid the most harrowing circumstances. I started this, did not finish it. Again, hard read, but I really think that it is worth the stress of it. I feel like some of the best books are in fact hard to read, and that is okay. Speaking of hard to read, next here we have Dear Miss Metropolitan by Carolyn Farrell. Again, another amazing book that I did not finish because it was hurting my heart. I feel like if you like true crime as much as I do, because I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts all of the time, you will enjoy this. It tells the stories of girls that were kidnapped from their perspectives. But I think the hardest part about it, for me at least, was the fact that they're so young. So have any of you ever read Push? It was the movie Precious was based off of that particular book. So in that book, I feel like I've said this before to you guys. In that book, Precious, the book is written at Precious's level of understanding and at her literacy level, right? So she can't write or read. So that is how the book is written. As she progresses, it gets better. This book is told in a similar way, whereas not necessarily the writing is from a place of like the girls aren't illiterate, but you can tell that it's trauma speaking. Like, it tells enough so that you know what they're going through, but their minds are processing it in a way to protect themselves. Does that make sense? It really shows Carolyn's talent. It really, really does. But I want to finish this because I know that it's going to be good. But just to read the synopsis to you, it says, Fern seeks refuge from her mother's pill-popping and boyfriends via Soul Train. Gwen finds salvation in the music of Prince, much to her congregation's dismay. And Yesenia, miles ahead of her classmates at her gifted and talented high school, is a brainy and precocious enigma. None of this matters to Boss Man, who abducts them and holds them captive in a dilapidated house in Queens. Only 2 of the victim girls are found when they are rescued. On that night, throngs line the block, gawking and claiming ignorance. Among them is lifelong resident Miss Metropolitan, advice columnist for the local weekly. But how could anyone who fancies herself as a newspaper woman have missed a horror story unfolding in her own neighborhood? The mystery surrounding the fate of the 3rd girl and the fragmented existence of the survivors stand at the pulsing center of this literary page-turner. Carolyn Farrell's extraordinary and original novel explores the intersections of grief and rage, personal strength and healing, and what we owe one another. I definitely need to finish this. I definitely think this one is a page-turner. It's pretty chunky, but I really feel like this is one of those books that everybody should read. That, like, in the long run, it's going to be considered a classic. Next, we have something that was recommended by my good friends over at the TBR Lowdown. Something else that, like, I need to hurry up and get to reading. An Orchestra of Minorities by Chigozie Obioma. So this one says, set in the outskirts of Umia, Nigeria, and narrated by a chi or guardian spirit, An Orchestra of Minorities tells the story of Chinonso, a young poultry farmer whose soul is ignited when one night he sees a woman attempting to jump from a highway bridge. Horrified by her recklessness, Chinonso joins her on the roadside and hurls 2 of his prized chickens into the water below to express the severity of the fall. The woman, Nadali, is stopped in her tracks. Bounded by the incident on the bridge, Chinonso and Nadali fall in love, but Nadali is from a wealthy family and struggles to imagine a future near a chicken coop. When her family objects to the union because Chinonso is uneducated, he sells most of his possessions to attend college in Cyprus. But when he arrives, he discovers that there is no place at the school for him and that he has been utterly duped by the young Nigerian who made the arrangements. Penniless, homeless, and furious at the world that continues to relegate him to the sidelines, Chinonso gets further away from his dream, from Nadali, and from the farm he called home. Spanning continents, traversing the earth and cosmic spaces, and told by a narrator who has lived for hundreds of years, this novel is a contemporary twist on Homer's Odyssey. Writing in the mythic style of the Igbo literary tradition, Chigozie Obioma weaves a heart-wrenching epic about destiny and determination. What is stopping you from reading this? You need to be reading it right now. You need to be reading it right now. And then last but surely not least, we have the Jigsaw Man. If you were looking for a black CSI. Well, no, that's wrong. Not CSI, but like a mystery written by a black woman. The Jigsaw Man is it. I believe this is going to be a series. So it says, on the day she returns to active duty with the serial killers unit, Detective Inspector Angelica Henley is called to a crime scene. Dismembered body parts from 2 victims have been found by the river. The modus operandi bears a striking resemblance to Peter Oliver, the notorious Jigsaw killer, who has spent the past 2 years behind bars. When he learns that someone is co-opting his grisly signature, the arrangement of victims' limbs in a puzzle piece shapes, he decides to take matters into his own hands. As the body count rises, D.I. Angelica Henley is faced with an unspeakable new threat. Can she apprehend the copycat killer before Oliver finds a way to get him first, or will she become the next victim? The writing in this is amazing. The story pulls you in, the mystery pulls you in. It definitely is one of those, like, I felt like I was like at work with her while she was doing all of this. So if you like mysteries, again, another serial killer situation, but just told from the detective's perspective, I think you'll really, really enjoy this. So those are just some books by Black authors to help you guys pick what you want to read as a part of your TBRs for not only for Black History Month, but also for down the line. But like I explained earlier, I do all Black authors for my TBR for Black History Month. So I just wanted to offer you guys some help. Let me know down below what Black authors you would suggest people read for Black History Month. I'd love to hear you guys' recommendation. It is the only time that I like unsolicited advice, is when it's coming to books, when it involves books. So without further ado, if no one has told you today, I absolutely love you. You are kind, you are important, you are smart, you are beautiful, you are intelligent, you're well-read, you are supportive, you're an amazing friend, you are all of those things. And I love you, and I will talk to you in the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all of those things too. Bye, guys.